Today in this session, we are going to discuss about assertion in Cypress. So first of all, we understand what are assertion. You can say assertion describes the desired state of your elements. Elements means web elements. Your objects. Object means you can talk about the if you are using any objects in your program, or you can say that these elements are also just treated as an object. And your application. It means what is your desired state. For example, if you have a login page in your application, you enter the valid username and password, and we click on login button, you will expect that your application should show the, you can see your logged in screen, right? So now Cypress provided the popular child library, Selenium library, and the child jQuery for your powerful assertion, and it's already free in your Cypress. Okay, so now we will see that what type of assertions are available in Cypress. You can say that actually Cypress provides two type of assertion. One is called implicit assertion. So now the thing is that what is implicit assertion? Many commands have default built-in assertions, or rather have requirement that may cause it to fail without needing an explicit assertion you have added. It means implicit assertion are actually, you can say that those assertions which are already inbuilt in your many commands. For example, whenever you are going to use the command, you can say visit command. So what happened that with the help of visit, you try to navigate to a URL, right? But here you can say at the same time already you can say assertion is implemented there. And what is that? Expect the page to send text HTML content within a two with you can say 200 status code. So this is the assertion which is already implemented there. Okay, whenever you are making a request, you can usually we use the this request method to send the request, especially in the API testing. Okay, so it expects the remote server to exist and provide a response. Now contains, expect the element with the content to eventually exist in the DOM. Okay, so this is contain. Now get, usually we use the get to find the element, right? So same time get actually validates one thing, expect the element to eventually exist in the DOM. In the same way also find, we have also expect the element to eventually exist in the DOM. Then we have type the element to be eventually be in a typeable state, means it is actually giving you the facility to enter some text, but at the same time it is validating, right? Your text should be, your text field should be in a typeable state here. Now in the same way we have click, expect the element to eventually eventually be in an actionable state, like you can click, you can trigger action event, click event on that. In the same way we have its expect to eventually find a property on the current server. So these are the functions which we usually use to perform some thing in our automation, but at the same time they have their inbuilt, you can say, or inbuilt assertions there, right? So now this is called, you can say, implicit assertion. Now second thing is that the assertion which you need to apply, okay, you need to apply if you want, that are called explicit assertion. There are two ways to write the assertion in Cypress. One is you can say add Cypress commands, you can use it, and for that purpose we use the should command, or you can should function and the add function. Okay, and you can say these are the preferred way of making assertion in Cypress. Means people usually prefer Cypress commands. Okay, these are typical Cypress command, which means they apply to the current yielded subject in the command change. It means whenever you if you want, you can make a you can say chain of commands. So whenever you are making a command, it actually works on the previous yielded subject. Second option is that you can use the Mocha assertion. Mocha assertion actually use the expect method. And what is the advantage of Mocha assertion? Usually expect follows allows you to assert on any JavaScript object, not just the current subject. For example, I can tell you, if you are able to see that you want to perform some action on the alert box. So alert box, you can say that is a JavaScript object. In that case, you can say expect can be very useful. Okay, so now we have seen that different type of assertion here. Now we will see the practical thing. So for practical, we will see that validate attribute in the web element. Okay, so I'm going to show you this thing one by one. So for that purpose, I will take the example of this my web page, that is user registration HTML. I have already run my automation, so this page is launched here. So we will start with the first validation. I told you I have to check whether element contains the attribute or not. Attribute contains or not. So for that purpose, I will take the example. Let me go here and let me first of all show you manually. If I talk about the first name field, I will go ahead and see the code of it, the HTML code. You can say this is the HTML code, and this first name contains style attribute, class attribute. You can say name attributes, ID attribute. So many attributes are there. If you want to check any attribute that attribute is present on my this element or not, I can check it. Okay, for that purpose I can use the this, you can say attribute like have dot atr. So how I'm going to call it? So let me show in the code. First of all, let me find the first name field here, this one. Now let me copy the code from here. Now let me go to the, you can say my code here, and I will simply write this one and say that dot, and I have to call the function that is called should. And in the should, I told you, you can say that if you want to check in the single quotes, you have to write have dot attribute, means attr, you can say, right. So this is going to check whether your element should have attribute, and what attribute you can give the attribute name here. So I will give the attribute name. Suppose I want to check for the style attribute should be there. So I will simply write style, and now let me run it. Okay, let me run it, and you can see in the, you can see here that it is validating or not. So here you will see the validate. So here you can say assert expected this element to have attribute style, and that is here. So that's why it is passed. I can show you by failing it. So for example, I can give any attribute which is not present here. So we have class name ID. We have class name ID. I can take the example of some attribute. Suppose you can say which attribute I can take the example. I have class, I have name. Which attribute I can take? Which attribute? Let me take. Let me take the example of suppose row span. Row span is not available here, so let me write a attribute which I need to check on there. So let me write there, and now let me write it this one. Okay, now Control S here, and now let me run it, and you will see that this time it will fail here. So it is expecting attribute row span, right? You can say it is failing because my first name field do not have any attribute with the name of row span. So I hope you got it that whenever you want to validate, it is going to check whether attribute is available or not. So this we have learned first. Now second, we are going to learn validate an attribute in the web element with a value. Okay, so I'm going to check whether attribute with a value or not. So for example, I can write attribute name this one, and I can also pass the value, whatever value you are expecting in this attribute. So now let me go here, and you can see that this is the value. Okay, this is the value. Let me copy the value, style equal to, that is the value. If I want to validate, you can pass it here. So if I'm going to give any invalid value, it will fail, but I'm giving the valid value. So let's see that it is validating or not. So let me go here, and here you will see that yes, expected to have attribute style with the value of this one. It is passed because it contains the value. Okay. Now we'll go with the, you can say, next validation. Validate a property in the web element with the value. You want to validate a property in the web element and with a value. So for that purpose, I will take the example. You can say check attribute. I will check in the, you can say, in my mail radio button. So let me go and click on that. So here you can say that here I want to check whether this is checked or not. So you can say by default it is checked. So we want to check whether this checked property is true or not. So how we can check it? Simply what we need to do here, we have to use the have dot prop, you can say feature, or you can say for that. So now let me go there, and first of all let me got the locator for that. The locator is that mail, and now let me copy it from here. Now let me go to the code. Let me remove this one here. Okay, let me remove this one here, and simply I write dot and write should here, and now in the should I have to use the which one? I have to use have dot attr, that is the sorry, property we have to write. So you can write prop, we can use this one. And now what property you are expecting, you have to give it here. The property name is checked here. You can see that property name is checked here. Okay, and what value you want to validate? If you want to check whether it is checked or not, you should go with the true. And if you want to check whether it is not checked, you can pass it false here. So now let me save it. Now let me go to the code here, and you can see here it will, okay, yeah, expected to have property checked with the value true. So you can say in this way you can validate for the, you can say, any property for any value. Now validate ID attribute. If you want to validate a particular attribute, means your ID attribute is available in your you can say HTML or not, you can check it, right? So you want to check whether your ID attribute is available or not, and you can also give the, you can say, value for it. Okay, so now let me go here. Okay, here you can say that instead of that I can say again, let me take the example. I will take the example of a school name field. So school name field is already, you can say, there. Let me click on that. And now this is my school name field. Now let me copy it here. And now let me go to my code. So here, what I am going to check it here, my this school name field should have a attribute ID. ID attribute is there or not. So I can say should, and the validation I'm going to pass it here, have dot ID. So ID I'm checking it. I want to check the ID is available or not. I can check it here, and simple I can just validate the ID name here. Okay. So let me go, and you can say that ID name for this is here, for the school name here. Let me right click. Let me click on that, and you can say the ID attribute is this one, school name. Okay. So let me copy it here, and now let me go and pass in the code here. Now save it. So it will check whether ID attribute is available in my, you can say, page, and it is also validate that it have value school name or not. So it is checking it. You can say you should have the ID attribute, and also it should have the value school name. So this you can validate it. Okay. Now next thing we are going to learn is that validate text in a web element. It is very you can say important thing. Sometimes you have to validate a text between the HTML open tag and close tag. So you can check it with the help of that. For example, I will take the example of this one. Here, this is my school name. It is a label. So in this label, this school name label contains that school name text or not. We can validate. For that purpose, let me copy it here. Now let me copy. Now let me go to the code here. And now I simply write it here. Now I want to check the text. So I will write dot should, and I'm going to write have text. So it will HALE have dot, you can say write the text here. And whatever text you want to validate, you can pass in the next one. Okay, so it is going to check, it should give you the whole text here. So this is the syntax for that. Now let me go here and see that text is school name, this one whole. So let me do one thing. Let me copy from here. This is the text here. This is the text. So let me copy, and now let me go to my code here, and I will write this as a text. So this label should have this text. Okay, and now let me save it. I will show you that it is going to validate the whole text. It is going to check whether it should match this one. Like you can say to have text school name star. If I'm going to miss anything from the text, it will fail. For example, let me remove, you can say this colon. I will remove the colon. Now you will see that it is going to valid and it will fail, because you know that reason is that it is expecting school name, all the things, but it is, you can say that have text school name star, but actual text is that, what is that, school name star. So you have to make sure that it will check the exact validation for that, right? Now we want to validate value in a web element. If you want to check any value, so same thing I will do for the school name field, that you want to check what is the value for that. So how we can check it? Simple. Let me go here and let me click on this again, school name field. Let me copy it here, and now let me go to the code. This time I want to check the value for that. So I will write dot should, and the value is that, you can say that if you want to check the value, it should have dot val. You can say that should have, and you can say that, oh, so I've written shadow, it should be should. Okay, then this one you can say have value here. So you have to write this one, and now what value you want to validate, you can pass it here. So now let me pass the value here. Should, then you have to use this you can say parameter have dot value, and here you have to pass the value. So I know that this is the value, so let me do the positive thing, copy. Let me go to the code, and I'm going to put it here. So first of all, I will check with the you can say let me go with the you can say negative value. I'm just removing y here. Okay, now save it. So it will fail. It will fail because it will check it should have the value, exact value. Let's make automation easy, but it is getting this value, automation EAS. Okay, so let me make a positive scenario. I make it this one easy. Now it will pass it. So here the purpose of that, whenever you want to validate the value of a field, then you can use this, you can say assertion for that, right? Now let me go to the next one. Validate element to be checked. If you want to check whether any element is already checked or not, you can check it. For that purpose, I will take the example in my page of the, you can say, Selenium subject. This is already checked. I want to check that validate that it is checked or not. So I can check with the help of this assertion that is called should be checked. So let me go here and I will find the locator for, you can say, this checked box. Okay, now I got it. Copy it here. Now let me go to the code and I will paste it here. And now we have to write dot should. Okay, and in the should I'm going to pass b, write it here, b dot, or you can say checked here, CHEC. It should be checked means the thing is that Selenium should be checked. Okay, and so it is going to check it here. Let me save it here and now see that it is validating or not. Yeah, it is expected to be checked and it is checked, so that's why it is green here, right? If I'm going to check for other, it will fail here. Now validate element to be enabled. If you want to check whether any element is enabled or not, we can check. We can take the example of Selenium, we can take the example any. Let me show you same thing on the, you can say, my same Selenium checkbox. Okay, so I can write be enabled, so I can simply write b, and instead of that I can write b enable, and now let me run it, control S. So now you will see that it is enabled or not. So it is going to expect it to be enabled and it is green because it is enabled. So we have learned this thing also. Now we are going to see that validate element contains text. If you want to check whether the element, a particular element contains a text, not it is going to check for the equality. You want to check whether it is something like a substring for that. So I can do one thing. I can again take the example of this one, like this one, student school name label here. So now let me copy it here again. And now let me go to my code, and the code I'm going to write this one. And now this time I want to check, right? You can say that I will check not for, you can say, if I will check with the, you can say, text, it will check for the equality. It will check for the equal text, exact match. But I want to check, you can say, only for the, you can say, contains. So I will write b contains. Sorry, not b contains. I think it is only contains, right? It is only contains. So I will write should contain. Okay, now what you want to contain, you can write it here. So you know that the, you can say, the value of this, last time when I validated, the value of this whole label is this one. But if I'm going to pass it on only this part, it is also make it true because it contains school name. It is working as a contain substring like that. Let me put it here. And okay, let me put it here, SCHOO. Let me write it here and control S here. Now see that it is going to, this time it is going to check the label for the contains. Okay, label to contain school contains. If you put the name will also, you can say, pass. If I will write a star, it will also pass. So you can make the condition for the contains here. So I hope you got it. Now we can validate the descendant element. For example, I will give the example. If I will go, you can say, this page here, and in my, if you take the example of this marital status, you can say drop down, you will see that in this element contains these descendant elements, like options are there, so if you want to validate that, like your this select drop down contains options as a descendant, you can validate it. How you can validate? Simple. The code is that you have to use have descendant and you have to give the tag name. So let me go with that. So for that purpose, first of all, let me got the locator for marital status, then copy. Now let me go to the code and now let me put it here. And now we have to use dot should, and in the should, you can say that I'm going to use the should single quotes has dot, sorry, dot descendant, this one. And now what descendant tag you are expecting, here you have to give. If I will give, suppose take the example, I will give div, you can say that in my descendant div is not there, there are options. So let me run this code and see that it is pass or fail. So it will fail. Yeah, it is failed because you know that descendant is option here. So let me go and pass it here. Descendant tag name OPTION option. Now let me save it. Now when we save it, yes, yeah, you can say that expected to have descendant option. So it is also passed. So with the help of, you can validate this thing also. Now next is that very important. If you want, you can make a chain of assertions also. It is called multiple assertions. Means you can validate multiple things on your, you can say, element. Like you can say that You can use should for also in the convention. Again should, you can use should, you can use the and also. So first of all, I will validate like my marital status, okay, should have ID this month. Okay, so I will do one thing for that purpose. Let me this time make a, I can use the, you can say locator from this one. So let me create the locator from this one also, like copy margin status I've already selected. Good. So I can show you here also. Like I can first of all, I'm going to make a session dot should, should, and I will make a session here have ID, have dot ID. I want to check whether it should have the ID. And what is the ID I want to validate? Let me give the ID. So ID is this one, this one. So first of all, what it will do, you can see the syntax here. It will validate this element should have this ID here. Okay. So now let me go to the code and this. So first validation. Then if you want to validate, I have validated two things. Should have ID this one and should have descendant. If you want, you can add more. You can say validation also. Let me make it. You can say SHOUD should. I'm making one more assertion chain. Okay. So assertion. What I'm going to add the assertion here. So here, let me take the example. Be enabled. I can check whether it is enabled or not. So simply should be dot enabled. Should be dot enabled. Okay, so okay, I need to write dot also. Dot, and that should be enabled, right? So because I'm writing in new code, so it should be enabled. So now you can say, let me make a tab so that you can easily understand. Let me write every assertion and read. But you have to make sure you are able to see that I'm using dot should, then assertion, dot should, and then assertion. In the same, you can keep on adding the assertion. So what it will do, it will check that marital, you can say field should have the ID marital. It should be enabled and it should have decided as a option. Now let me save it and see that this time it will trigger three assertions together. Now you can say expected to have ID, expected to be enabled, and expected to have the descendant. So in this way, you can apply multiple assertions. If you have any doubt, you can put your doubt in the comment of this video. If you have any query, you can put in the comment of this video. If you like the video, click on the like button and don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you.